No, some folks would say China needs to cut a deal with the United States because it's also bad for China's economy. But this is what the spokespeople for the Chinese government are saying about this very issue. Give me E0.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. Right. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
Did he just drag?
Drag. Edges just snatched America's edges, okay? What is going on? If that is the energy that the Chinese government has, what does that mean for the rest of us? Like, we're in a very precarious situation. Or is this hyperbole? Am I being dramatic? Can someone calm me down? Anybody?
No, you're not.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Trump has a strategy, which is you never want to pick a fight with a bully, and he's made it clear he thinks he's the biggest bully in the room, and that's going to work with a lot of countries. The thing about China is, it's kind of not really a democracy. And so Trump has political forces, I wish they were stronger, which are going to normalize things somewhat. The American people are mad. We will eventually have midterm elections. It's going to change the politics of everything you can do. There's a degree of accountability, thank goodness, for the American leadership that there simply isn't with the Chinese. And so most countries don't want to pick on a bully, but by jingo, the one that's unaccountable, that's the one you really don't want to fight with. The analytic point that gentleman was making is actually even more important. Realize this is not a global trade war. This is an American trade war. Oh. So what that means is the 10% tariffs here really matter. It means that what Trump has done is shut America off from the rest of the world. The rest of the world is looking for friends, and none of them are putting tariffs on each other. Oh. And so what that in turn means is the other 90% of global trade is they're all finding new relationships and new markets. They've got other places to go. We have much less of that. And so that's the fundamental asymmetry here, and the sense in which I think the White House really has overplayed its hand.
Yeah, I mean, it just reminds me of 2018, the first term. I was in Beijing talking to Chinese officials, and, they were saying, you know what, we love lobster. We're happy for the New England fishermen, but you know what? If Donald Trump wants a trade war, we'll get our lobsters someplace else. So you know who that hurts? That doesn't hurt China. That hurts the fishermen in New England. This is exactly how all of this works, but Donald Trump doesn't seem to think that. He's waging this very public war with China, and everybody who is getting hurt are the people who he is supposed to take care to make sure that the laws are executed to protect. And that's why none of this makes sense. And this is so predictable. If I, a political reporter, knew how China was going to react to this.
After one of the most volatile weeks on Wall Street ever, okay? You understand what I'm saying? Ever. Today, the market's made up for some of its losses. The Dow closing up just over 600 points. Now, that comes as China is hitting back on President Trump's tariff hike, saying, they're raising tariffs on the U.S. imports as well, from 84% to 125%, and mocking Trump's policy as a joke. But while the president is claiming on social media that they are, quote, doing really well for the American people, that doesn't appear to be the case at all. Experts are estimating that this trade war could cost the average household an extra $4,700 a year. And today, a new survey shows consumer sentiment has plunged 11% to the second lowest level it's been since 1952. That's before I was born, folks, so we're talking time ago. One economist telling CNBC consumers have spiraled from anxious to petrified. And that is being felt across the country. Just listen to what some small business owners are saying.
It's not like we can say, oh, we're just not going to buy from one country. We'll pivot to another country, especially when that country is China, which produces so many of our inventory products.
There's just so much uncertainty and chaos. Every day it seems to be something else coming from the White House or elsewhere. And so it's very hard to plan and predict what's going to happen because of the uncertainty and because of all the chaos that exists.
We're looking at, possibly closing within a year or two if this continues. I just don't see a future, in retail or in this economy, unfortunately.
Republicans to come in, cut taxes for rich people, and try to offset it, try to pay for it by cutting spending that affects low-income people. We're seeing about $1 trillion in tax cuts going to the top 1% from what the Republicans have proposed, and $1 trillion of cuts in Medicaid and nutritional support. So an offset, which is basically taking from the poor to give to the rich. But there's another wrinkle here, and it's one we haven't seen before, and that's the tariffs. Tariffs are a sales tax on imports, and these are goods that are disproportionately consumed by middle and lower income people. So not only are you cutting their services to offset a tax cut for the wealthy, you're hitting them with an extremely large tax on their living standards. So this is really, a very big problem from their perspective.
You've got a number of screaming headlines that reinforce exactly what you're saying. You've got the AP reporting tariffs will make sneakers, jeans, and almost everything Americans wear cost more, trade groups warn. Work boots made in China that now retail for $77 would go up to $115. A pair of Chinese-made children's shoes that cost $26 today will likely carry a price tag of $41 by the back-to-school shopping this season. Perhaps one of my favorite, though, because the Chinese are not without their humor in all of this from their perspective, because I don't know why Donald Trump thinks that they're somehow going to be groveling and think that they're going to find a lot of pain here. But Chinese officials are posting memes showing the price of knockoff Make America Great Again hats. By the way, folks out there, those of you in MAGA land, where do you think your hat comes from? It comes from China, baby. That's where it comes from. And the spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Affairs posted a cartoon showing MAGA hats 50% more, right? So you're seeing a hat that, that they're, as you see here on the screen, it was once $59, now $77, et cetera. So that's a poking.
I can't believe that was $59 in the first place.
Well, I don't know who the hell is paying $59 for that hat, to be honest, but there are a lot of people who do. But here's the deal. That's an example of the real world impact of what this administration is doing.
NBC political analyst and Boston Globe columnist Kimberly Atkins-Storr. She co-hosts the #Sisters-in-Law podcast. Also with us is Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. Justin, Professor, can you take us to class and explain to us, just to the American people out there, America, as I heard Michael say this about a week ago, we are not a manufacturing-based economy anymore. And even if we wanted to be, let's just say Donald Trump's magic wand worked. Last time I checked, we are not standing up a factory in 2 weeks' time.
That's a really critical issue. It takes, say, 3, 4, 5 years to open up a new factory. And that factory then will be there for decades. And so the question that CEOs face is not what will tariff rates be today, but what will they be in 2028, in 2038, in 2048, 2058. And that's the thing. This is a White House where it will raise tariffs on Wednesday and then lower them again on Thursday. So while he may have changed the tariffs that we all are going to have to pay at the grocery store, he hasn't changed the ones that matter for bringing manufacturing back to America, which is expectations of the future. The implication of this, of course, is that we're going to get all the costs of the tariffs, but because of the chaotic nature of this White House, we're going to get none of the benefits.
Benefits, yeah. There are no benefits at all in this, Kim, because as we were talking, the reality of it is people are beginning to feel the impact of this. You've got a number of folks, Kevin Hassett, for example, director of the National Economic Council, noting, I think everybody expects the 10% baseline tariff is going to be the baseline, and it's going to take some time of extraordinary deal, some kind of extraordinary deal for the president to go below there. again, a lot of these conversations, to what I was just saying, is, among the players without any real consideration of the people. You had the Commerce Secretary, Mr. What's his name?
Oh, Howard Lutnick.
Lutnick talking about, talking about, my mother-in-law would be fine if she doesn't get her Social Security payment. Donald Trump telling everybody, to just basically shut up and take it. It'll be okay. I tell you, it'll be okay. It's going to be okay.
Be cool.
Be cool. It's a very abusive kind of response to some of the real pain that folks are just beginning to experience. How do you assess the narratives going forward here? I made the point about what's outside the room is going to come inside the room at a certain point.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to focus on two things. One is the people who are hurting that you point out. There are people who are, you're saying be cool and this isn't going to be a big deal and, markets fluctuate. First of all, it's the entire global economy that has been rocked for no reason, because the U.S. president is railing against trade policies, most of which he set during his first term. So this isn't about fixing the U.S. economy. This is about, to me, it seems, the president standing up and wanting other countries to come to heel, wanting them to bow down to him like a king, and he can feel like the big man and come in after wrecking the economy, coming up with some brilliant sort of deal.
Again, this is going terrible for Trump. China keeps leaking information, keeps dropping little hints that they have real dirt on Trump, and they know Trump's weakness. They do. They know his movement is fractured. This is what the world is getting. And look, you don't have to be pro any country on this, right? This isn't a game, really. But like Canada, for example, knows that they've been united by Trump tariffs. Trump, his country's been divided by his own moves. The same thing is happening here. China is further united. And again, I've talked about it. Because Trump has chosen to attack the world, that even if he's temporarily backing off and focusing on China, the rest of the world isn't forgetting that like 3 or 4 days ago, he's made a big attack on the entire world. And now he's paused some, but not all of that attack. And everyone's saying, well, it's not China that's going out and starting this fight. It's the United States. And so, yes, they're retaliating, and yes, they're mocking him and leaking little videos and little clips mocking the rising cost of the MAGA hat, which is entirely Trump's doing. It's all hilarious, and it just goes to show that the whole world thinks Trump's a joke, and not a very funny joke. Like, you're laughing at him, but not because he's funny, but because you can't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. But it's an absurdity that hurts billions of people, especially the poor in the United States, yes, but the global poor, maybe even more. And so this is where we're at. Donald is being exposed, and he has made Xi in China more than ever before, more than a Chinese leader has in centuries, a world leader.